mistake.
What's sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
They tell me watch at the
Dangerous.
bourgeois.
Ferocity. 6 egregious and bloody prizes. Mark Bassett. November 2023. Mark Bassett. Police on scene of Friday's murder. Jason Alexander. Incident. Off St. Paul Street. Force of Spain. Jason Alexander is involved. A peace agreement has been reached between the reputed gang bosses of the Six Gang and Ross City.
What's sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
What keep you flying high? Same thing does make you cry.
What's sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
Little bit of treasure, little bit of pleasure. So you take, and you take, and you take, and you take. Mistake.
What's sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
Hey. And if you check, you will see it's true. The ill effects of the wrongs men do. All who make women catch their tail. All who lie and send men to jail. All who rob their neighbor. All who rape their daughter. Sing the chorus loud, let them hear. Keep singing every day. Remember, mommy say.
What's sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
What keep you flying high? Same thing does make you
What's
cry.
sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
Little bit of treasure, little bit of pleasure. So you take, and you take, and you take, and you take. Mistake.
What's sweet in goat mouth and sour in the bam bam.
Residents of Tobago and northeast Trinidad are facing the full brunt of thunder showers associated with a fast-approaching tropical wave. Violent rainfall started at midnight.
Look why the sun is taking place in Coral Spain. The polar south today. Look at here. Look at it. And this is the content by the lighthouse.
After yesterday's torrential downpours in the entire country, South Trinidad is still trying its best to recover from the tremendous amount of floodwaters that are currently ongoing. Behind me you can see vehicles trying to get their way through the tremendous amounts of floods, but some of them have actually stalled in the midst of it all.
A scene that has not occurred for at least the last 5 years. The eastern neighborhood in Guayco, in the vicinity of Blue Mountain waters, inundated with water.
With the moon a couple of days ago. The moon was at the closest point to the Earth. That created some sort of activities in the ocean, and what you had is a higher than normal tide.
Yes, indeed, of course, pleasant good night to all and sundry. This moon-faced man talking about the moon and some phenomenon that he has created in his imagination, of course, when in fact what was required was merely the removal of the PNM, full stop, and all of that would stop. We have seen, of course, I am not a superstitious person, but we have seen, of course, during the course of this administration, not only has Dr. Rowley proclaimed and literally evoked evil by talking about he went to Likoto, the place where, of course, all zombies are in Tobago, and of course got the position that he has. And of course we have seen during the course of this administration the highest amount of floods, or the worst floods in the country, earthquakes, and a number of other phenomenon, some literally man-made, where nature lapsed, where nature, of course, was short. He created it by, of course, making sure that the sea bridge was a total disaster. And then, of course, we have, of course, the situation with Petrotrin, making it a disaster. And then, of course, the economy, making it a disaster. And then, of course, the Heritage and Conservation Fund, making it, of course, a worrisome option or phenomenon for Trinidad and Tobago. And then, of course, the blatant reduction in our reserves from 10 billion to 4 billion, as far as I'm concerned. They say 6, but I say 4. And then, of course, we have, of course, a pandemic, a pandemic where, of course, people during and after, now that it is in its post pandemic dispensation, but during the pandemic itself, people catch the ant, nenen, and everything else, in spite of the fact that $22 billion was expended on this exercise, and for which the Rowley administration cannot account, will not account, and then telling us by some kind of what I consider to be insane logic, telling us that he is not accountable to the opposition. Just imagine that. He is not accountable to the opposition. So he doesn't know that the way he got in the office that he has is as a result of the electorate in the Diego Martin West giving him the majority of the votes. He doesn't understand that this is a representative, of course, democracy. He doesn't understand that the other members of parliament, including those of the other 21 that is on the PNM side, that is on the government side, he doesn't know that he has a responsibility to account to them, and vice versa. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that all of us cannot fit in the parliament, 1.3 million people. Is that what he's saying? because the most asinine statement I've heard, that of course, an attempt of course to justify his clandestine way of doing business and government in a democracy where of course not just the rule of law obtains, but the transparency and accountability is a critical aspect of any democracy. And here it is, Dr. Rowley will come time and time and telling us about what? Non-disclosure agreements, including of course for the vaccine, for which we had given him in totality to address the question of COVID, $22 billion. What sweetened goat mouth is sour in the bam bam. It's clear. And therefore that level of evil that has descended on Trinidad and Tobago is well captured in of course the tragedy. And for him it might be a traumatizing experience. But for us it's saying happy riddance. And of course, the Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform, and evil could never conquer good. Evil could never conquer good, people. And therefore, the apocalyptic nature of Trinidad is at hand. Apocalyptic, yes. Disaster after disaster, including the government.
Residents of Tobago and Northeast Trinidad are facing the full brunt of thunder showers associated with the fast approaching tropical wave. Violent rainfall started at midnight.
Apocalypse, that is Trinidad and Tobago today. Just did some repairs, did some improvements, and there's only floods.
After yesterday's torrential downpours in the entire country, South Trinidad is still trying its best to recover from the tremendous amount of floodwaters that are currently ongoing. Behind me you can see vehicles trying to get their way through the tremendous amounts of floods, but some of them have actually stalled in the midst of it all.
They send me down like prophets of old to cool this tongue, keep it more control. Me I get no vision and thing, neither no big message to bring. All me tell me Indian, as a Tysonian, all sing this song through the land. Keep singing every day, remember, Mommy say, what's sweet and good about the sour in the bam. But keep you flying high, same thing does make you cry. What's sweet and good about the sour in the bam. Little bit of treasure, little bit of pleasure. So you take, and you take, and you take, and you take. Mistake. What's sweet and good about the sour in the bam. Alright.
Look at it. And this is the compare by the Electoral.
After yesterday's torrential downpours in the entire country, South Trinidad is still trying its best to recover from the tremendous amount of floodwaters that are currently ongoing. Behind me you can see vehicles trying to get their way through the tremendous amounts of floods, but some of them have actually stalled in the midst of it all.
A scene that has not occurred for at least the last 5 years. The eastern main river in Guayco in the vicinity of Blue Mountain waters inundated with water.
And if that is not enough, here you have a moon-faced fella talking a pile of hogwash. Listen to the Minister of Works trying to explain that away Well, of course, all he has to do is to confess and to accept that the PNM must get the hell out of office, call an election, and the problem solved.
The moon a couple of days ago, the moon was at the closest point to the earth. That created some sort of activities in the ocean, and what you had is a higher than normal tide.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm trying, of course, I understand there's an echo that is emanating. Let me just try to treat with that matter. I think it might have been solved now. Yes, indeed. So, people, that is.
November 20th, 2023. Mark Bassett. Brutal end. Police on the scene of Friday's murder of Jason Alexander, Inset, off St. Paul Street, Port of Spain. Jason Alexander alias Olive. A peace agreement has been reached between the reputed gang bosses of the Six Gang and the Rasta City Gang following a wave of savage killings between the rival gangs along the east-west corridor that has worsened in recent weeks. Rasta City Gang is also known as the Seven Gang. Over the last 48 hours, with the help of senior police officials, officers from the Port of Spain Interagency Task Force, IATF, said they were able to arrange a peace deal between the gang bosses to stop the bloodletting. Both leaders we spoke with told us they both wanted peace. And in turn, sent messages through their own mediums to also give each other the reassurance that they wanted peace on the streets, an IATF police officer told the Express yesterday. When asked about the gang-related killings that have exploded in the last few weeks, the IATF officer, who spoke with the Express via phone yesterday, remarked, Rasta City head President, is not really for this war. Six Gang head Tyson, has also told us that wants to work this out and hopes that the peace will hold. His Six Gang counterpart, alias Tyson, who had been held together with alleged gang members since last Thursday following a massive police operation in Port of Spain and environs, was released on Sunday evening along with numerous other people from the Corinage police station. However, since 2 attempts had been on his, Tyson's, life in the past, the IATF officer said his team made special arrangements to have Tyson and the other men picked up safely from the Corinage police station and taken to the St. Paul Street area in East Port of Spain. An attempt was made to kill the reputed Six boss in June 2021 after he left the Four Roads police station in Diego Martin. Gunmen opened fire on the car he was in on Wrightson Road during midday traffic near Colville Street, but he was grazed by a bullet. Another attempt was also made on his life last year. What triggered the war? The IATF officer gave some insight into what has triggered this bloody gang war over the last few weeks. Things that happen involve certain people who are connected to certain people. They try to settle disagreements through violence, and one act of violence leads to reprisal killings. Reprisals account for about 35% of the killings, and if police can get to them before that, we could minimize this. When there is a shooting over the years, we realize that quick intervention prevents reprisal killings, he explained. Sources say the killing of Nesta Papi Sammy from Korea, who was shot dead October 29 at the Super Farm car park in Diego Martin, triggered the bloody gang war between the rivals. Within 24 hours of Papi's killing, 4 men were shot dead at the corner of Smart Place and Belmont Circular Road in apparent reprisal for Papi's killing. They were Karen Moore, 31, Redford 23, Chivum Clark, 26, and Brian Hamar, 27. Sources say that one of the men targeted associate of the Six Gang. Parts of Belmont near the Rifle Hill area are now heavily under the control of the Six Gang, while the Rasta City members are based in the St. Francois Valley Road area. The former Belmont gang boss and one of his right-hand men, known in the underworld as Frosty, have fled the country because they are wanted for questioning in gang-related killings. This, in turn, has allowed the Six Gang to expand its reach into the Belmont neighborhood. Collateral damage. On November 7, Daryl Bookart, who police senior sources say was an affiliate of the ABG gang who had formed an alliance with the Six Gang, was shot dead in St. Anne's at his home. Police believe Keston Bumbles Monroe, who they say was a left-hand lieutenant of the Rasta City gang, committed the act. Hours after the killing, police detained Bumbles, from Calvary Hill, East Dry River, for questioning into Bookhard's killing. Bumbles was freed from the Belmont police station last Monday, and reports indicate 6 gang members, who had been tipped off by police officers from a specific unit, were parked a short distance away from the Belmont police station waiting for Bumbles as he left the station. He was shot numerous times in retaliation for Bookhard's death by gunmen in the vehicle, who then fled. Before Bumbles was shot dead, there was a double murder in St. Anne's in which Franz Lavine was shot dead and Hayden Edine, alias Dole, was killed near the 69 Sports Grill and Bar. Sources say Lavine was collateral damage and the intended victim was Dole. The killings were allegedly done by the 6 gang. Retaliatory killings. In retaliation for the shooting of Bumbles, gang members associated with the Rasta City gang opened fire on a group of men early Friday morning at the corner of St. Paul and Rodney Streets just behind the Besson Street police station. The gunmen pulled up in a black BMW just after 8 a.m. and opened fire on the group of men who were liming. Jason Alexander, a mechanic from the area, and 26-year-old PTSC employee, Shondell Bernard, were killed. In apparent retaliation for the Friday shootings, police sources said members of the 6 gang in a black X-Trail opened fire on a crowd on Duncan Street in Port of Spain on Saturday night. Police identified one of the victims as 23-year-old Christian Sanz Abuar of Duncan Street in Port of Spain, while 5 others were shot and injured. Police responding to the shooting discovered the black X-Trail involved in the shooting abandoned in the St. Paul Street neighborhood. In a voice note to the media on Friday, Commissioner of Police Erla Christopher vowed to deal with the gangsters responsible for these violent crimes and underlined that police were still in control. Gang truce. Rasta City, 6 agree to end bloody reprisals. Mark Bassett. November 20th, 2023. Mark Bassett. Brutal end. Police on the scene of Friday's murder of Jason Alexander, Inset, off St. Paul Street, Port of Spain. Jason Alexander alias Hala. A peaceman has been reached between the gang bosses of the 6 and Rasta City gang following a wave of savage killings between the rival gangs along the east-west corridor that has worsened in recent weeks. Rasta City gang is also known as 7 gang. Over the last 48 hours, with the help of senior police officials, officers from the Port of Spain Interagency Task Force, IAF, were able to deal with gangs to stop the bloodletting. Both leaders we spoke with told us they both wanted peace. And sensitive to all give each other the reassurance they wanted peace on the street, an IATF police officer told the Express yesterday. When asked about the gang-related killings that have exploded in the last few weeks, the IATF officer, who spoke with the Express by phone yesterday, remarked, Rasta City head president, is not really for this war. 6 gang head Tyson, has also told us that wants to work this out and told his gang alias Tyson, had held together the alleged gang members last Thursday following a massive leak in Port Spain and virus was released along with numerous people from Greenwich Police Station. However, since 2 attempts had been on his, Tyson's, life in the past, the IATF officer said his team made special arrangements to have Tyson and the other men picked up safely from the Greenwich Police Station and taken to the St. Paul Street area in East Port of Spain. An attempt was made to kill the reputed 6 boss in June 2021 after he left Rhodes Police Station in Diego Martin. Gunmen opened fire on Ivan Road during traffic street, but he was grazed by a bullet. Another attempt also made his life last year. What triggered the war? The IATF officer gave some insight into what has triggered this bloody gang war over the last few weeks. Things that happen involve certain people who are connected to certain people. They try to settle violence, and one act of violence leads to reprisal killings. Reprisals are about 5%, and if police can get to them before that, we could minimize this. When there is a shooting, you realize that reprisal killings, he explained. Sources say Lennox Happy Sammy Coco Wright, who was shot dead on October 29 at the Super Farm car party barn, triggered bloody gang war between the rivals. Within 24 hours of Happy's killing, shot at Nerds Heartless Bomb circular with inherent killing. They were Karen Moore, 31, Brandon 20, Chivam 26, and Brian Padmar, 27. Sources say that one of the men targeted was an associate of the 6 gang. Parts of the rival are now heavily under the control of the 6 gang, while Rasta members in the St. Valley Road area. The former gang and one of the men, known world have fled because they are wanted questioning gang-related killings. This, in turn, allows gangs to reach the neighborhood.
of the matter. The fact of the matter is that there is a need to address this unfolding phenomenon in the East Port of Spain area and across the East-West corridor. And I want to tell you that I accuse the Rowley Administration and the Minister of National Security for encouraging gang activities and of course its manifestation in the way that it is unfolding on our streets, and of course generating the level of trepidation, fear, and of course concern for not only limb but also people's lives. We live in a Russian roulette environment. We live in a Russian roulette environment in which any number, any day, any time, anybody's life could be expired. And we saw drive-by shootings. All they said is that that individual was not target. And we saw a similar development in Simple Street. Let's go straight, of course, to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
It's a pleasant to you and everybody. Like, I know, but I was not going to put it down. The live was alert from in terms of the audio.
Yes.
Like you got back on.
Yes.
Audio.
Yes.
But something you got.
Yeah. He got mad.
No. That man going mad.
Yeah.
He going mad.
Yeah. He's a total lunatic at this point in time. Total lunatic.
Well, it have a extended care down on point side. You put him there.
I hope it is closer to prison because he has to be in a facility for the criminally insane, because this man has to be mad to engage in that kind of betrayal of our democracy and believe he could get away with it. The man's a total culprit. Go ahead. Yeah, let me hear.
Gotham Asylum in America. That man, they had to send him an asylum in Gotham. He had to go.
Gotham City. I hear you. Yes, because at what time we had him, of course, we had him playing the Riddler in Batman, so that might be the appropriate place. But we want to see him here. We want to make sure that he is locked away, and that our local, should I say, prison officers are able to give us an update from time to time as to how he's faring. Just as how he gave us pain, ache, agony over the last 8 years, he must, of course, in a short space of time, but very intensive experience, something that the people who he has betrayed and he has abused, and he has, of course, undermined our democracy, the rule of law, and, of course, the independence of our respective institutions. He must pay the price. He could jump high, he could jump low. He must pay the price. That being as it may, people, I thought it was important, of course, to once again reiterate it is Rowley and his government that are created the gang and the gang warfare and the inhospitable and the unfortunate consequences of that. And yet still, Dr. Rowley will not accept responsibility. I am really not inclined to play any video because of the reverberations that take place. But I think it's important to probably play this one and let's see if we'll get a better response. Let's see if we'll get a better response to this one.
A major political issue because everybody in this country, including the UN, and said for Commissioner, to tell you the people in country we are having difficulty in finding out from customs that these dangerous items that were permitted and come through the customs, how much was imported? Who imported? It's a major political issue because everybody in this country, including the UNC, and he said for Commissioner, could tell you the people in country we are having difficulty in finding out from customs that these dangerous items that were permitted and come through the customs, how much was imported? Who imported? It's a major political issue because everybody in the country, including the UNC, I'm the Commissioner. I tell you, the biggest problem in the country is crime. We are having difficulty in finding out custom make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but to hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We take the advice from you, the people, and when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
General election time is here. We're watching the enemy straight in the eye now, and we're seeing the white of the eye. And as we put on the PNM war paint, and we say, great is the PNM, and we have the symbol of the body say, we taking no prisoners, we looking down the gap. The time has come for you to pass judgment upon her, and upon her host, and her friends, and her supporters.
Feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but to hold the government accountable.
If you still undecided, that come like if you're in a ring with gloves and a big strong heavyweight coming at you, and you making up your mind whether to put up a guard. If you still undecided, that come like if you're in a ring with gloves and a big strong heavyweight coming at you, and you making up your mind whether to put up a guard. Since 1995, something is happening, and in May we have seen the government. But I was under no illusions. I watched them since 1995. When I saw she chose 2010, and I saw Kamala as BCS as Prime Minister. When I saw she chose Suran and Ramrod as Attorney General. When I saw Suraj Ramadan. And when I saw Suraj and when I saw Anil Robert, I knew trouble was on the horizon. I wasn't expecting nothing else. It was recipe for mayhem and confusion and trouble to that baby. I knew it was impending disaster. That is the leadership she provides. That is why she can't tell none of them nothing. And all of them is going to get from the motherhood.
Come out as former PNM Senator Fitzgerald Hines is called on board to come out and make a serious stand.
I give them my fellow support. My own children. I feel that the number one of 250 administration should block the entire package news. When I say so, they should lock down the whole and the right whole of the whole country.
Yes, people, that is the basis of the criminal conduct encouraged and facilitated by this administration, by really, in spite of the attitudes and the hypocritical sentiments and separate divisions. Look what's happening. The people know.
This opportunity to send an enemy to Trinidad, and it will not be fair. I'm coming, and I will see that we will kill it, and we will follow it, and we stop, so that you, the young people, can access the whole training and learning power, so that the person, you get the knowledge, you can get money for a woman, children, and a family like everybody else, and we build on that because of the community. I come to you here today. I remember that I said you were sometimes was a boy. I appreciate that. And you who were not many of you, and many of you who don't hear what we have to say. And I said you, I come to you as a brother and a father. Amen. So everybody has to want to say that. I don't try to get a little of your heart. You actually have to like to play. And I see for the things that why I did it. And I'm going to have things going on in this section, that section, that section, this section of the day. When we get to the same thing. I want you to help us to organize those young African brothers. Let us training anything we want to do. So we become strong, so that they can become independent, so that they can make the brothers, wives, and grandmothers feel better. And don't have to want to just get to the best the job, to the great fire, to the rest of that. Let's go. And I said for something this morning, I told them I was coming here, I was going to see you, and we have a meeting next week, and we're going to back to the meeting next week. Please, that's very much. But I need to be able to live with the blood one and the thing, but I'm a man and act like a man. And you have leadership, and you want to join us in the right.
You know what I'm talking about? Heinz passed the microphone to Sunday. I will bring the information. I had a matter related to gangsterism in the East Port of Spain area. And here Heinz just freshly minted National Minister, providing overtures. When he said that he has the Bad Street Center to construct or to finish, what do you mean? A guaranteed contract for them. You say, I say a guaranteed contract. But we can talk how much hogwash you want and how much riot you want. That is an exercise in futility. It is superficial and superfluous. Lines goes there, and then come in our faces when the disquiet of the population is intense, and it threatens their political opportunity, their political future, their political aggrandizement, for whatever term, their political fortunes. Then they come to us, and of course Rowley will say that you must not be interacting with criminals, or those that they consider to be criminals who are generating the havoc, the murders, the gang warfare, the dropping of bodies, and of course the home invasion, and of course the hijacking, and all the other what is called blue collar crimes. Look at that. And you had Heinz earlier facilitating, inflaming, and encouraging misbehavior when he said that on that 11% and the PNM oriented protest was taking place at the waterfront. He said he wishes more and he will encourage them to block the whole of the road. You're in here if you're a sycophant. You're in here. You're in here. Listen to him again. When I think so, they should lock down the whole and rise over and the whole.
Pending disaster. That is the leadership she provides. That is why she can't tell none of them nothing. And all of them is alligator from the same murky.
Listen to him and his violence.
It's calling on people to come out and make a serious stand.
I give them my full support. My only trouble is I feel it should really be numbering about 250,000.
Just imagine that. And this man is our national security minister, a man who foments discord publicly to disrupt the operation of the society. And when we as ordinary members of the society are totally upset and disgusted with the incompetence, impotence, and the rank and unadulterated behavior that swirls within the cabinet and therefore government minister and the prime minister, they want to tear gas us, and they want, of course, to arrest us. But you see, when he was thrown out by mine and wanted, of course, this disaster called Rowley come into office so that he can have a level of further disaster that is Trinidad and Tobago today by this government. You really have to ask the question whether the Trinidad is a real place to have these miscreants and these individuals at the helm of our affairs. We are asking for and inviting and enticing and fomenting disaster after disaster after disaster that we have in fact experienced over the last 8 years. Let's hear this miscreant. Yeah, have to tell it as it is. They encourage that in office and control it, and they want to tell me that you must reflect on how Kamala Prasad Bisesa, when she inherited, of course, the situation that she did, coming out and after manning the main office in 2010, she called a state of emergency to arrest and address the problem, and the murders began to spread southwards, downwards. As soon as they come back, it's record after record being broken in terms of murders and crime and criminality, and Rowley is still in our faces, having, of course, and we really have a pension for either punishment, a pain and disaster, or we have a tremendous amount of patience. Because like this, he tells us that it was the parents. He said that these young girls are like hyenas in the African jungle. He told us that the parents send bandits to school. He told us that. He told us that the church must play a greater role. He told us that it is, of course, a health hazard crime. He then took our money in addition to what he took before, and of course, brought all of here to this very delusionary, and of course, unarticulated, mentally deranged, and without form, this concept of trying to be a public health disaster or phenomenon or crisis. And then he went on, of course, to get a commissioner of police, having studiously and of course occasionally get a working commissioner of police in a long time, Gary Griffith, out of the law enforcement apparatus. And he is telling us last week
that is the leadership
that this is untenable, this is intractable issue. And before that, he was also telling us that
PNM Senator Fitzgerald Hines is calling on people to come out and make a serious stand.
He wants to stay there and ensconce himself digging and stay there until 2025, where clearly if we do that, Trinidad and Tobago could be permanently disfigured over crime and criminal behavior. You don't know that he said that? You sycophants and you apologists, listen to this.
The people of this country are correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make it feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but to hold the government accountable.
He said that they're losing the war. He said that since 2017-18. Since 2017, 2018, he said so. Now today, it has escalated. He pretending as though he is surprised or that it is a new development on the crime front, only to listen to him.
Must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who.
Referring to Kabla Prasad, Mr. Sunday.
We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
You have a mind whether to put up a guard. Something's happening. We have seen them. I was under no illusion. I watching them since 1995.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Hey. Oh God, boy. Yes. All right. All right, good. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thanks. Oh boy. Cook.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
General election time is here. We're watching the enemy straight in the eye now. And we're seeing the white of the eye. And as we put on the PNM war paint, and we say, great is the PNM, and we have the symbol of the Balizé, we taking no prisoners. We licking down the gap. The time has come for you to pass judgment upon her and upon her host and her friends and her supporters and the other infidels and the other traitors and those who have done damage and pain and embarrassment to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I make no apology.
If you still undecided, that come like if you're in a ring with gloves and a big strong heavyweight coming at you and you making up your mind whether to put up a guard. Something is happening. We have seen the government, but I was under no illusion. I watching them since 1995 and May 2010 when I saw Kamasabi as Prime Minister, when I saw she chose Anand Rowley Government as Attorney General, when I saw Suraj Rambachan, when I saw Devan Braj, and when I saw Anil Roberts, I knew trouble was on the horizon. I wasn't expecting nothing else. That is a recipe for mayhem and confusion and trouble. I knew it was impending disaster. That is the leadership she provides. That is why she can't tell none of them nothing. And all of them is alligator from the same murky lagoon.
Mounted from PNM Center of High School, for people to come out and make a serious stand.
I give them my full support. My only trouble is I feel it should lend the number about 250,000. We should block the entire passageway, and it should lock down the whole of Rice Road and the whole country.
Yes, people, that's the sad state of affairs. A Minister of National Security gave that kind of bellicose language, that kind of fomenting social discord and physical disruption and promoting, of course, illegal conduct and activity, and today is the National Security Minister. That is more than unfortunate. That is a recipe for absolute and total disaster. That is a recipe for disaster. And then, of course, to be part and parcel of a crime, so-called talk that certainly has not been settled. Dr. Rowley himself asking for the doctor, he himself, effectively, with a porous attempt to try to save face and to be politically correct so that he could be ingratiated to get some sympathy. Clearly, there must be none. None. He initiated, claiming that he listened to the president. And when the time comes to, of course, engage on this vital critical question of crime and criminality as it started today, over 500 murders this year so far, until comes in. He has pulled out of the talks because he doesn't want that government. A man who he targets and believes that he is Lord of all, that he is a supreme dictator, he Rowley, and that his followers, his vassals, his slaves, that of course are definitely pieces of silver. I'm going to tell you this. As soon as the proximity of the elections in 2020 is to the actual elections, we can see how many of those PNM ministers would discontinue his own and distance themselves from Rowley and his criminal enterprise called the Rowley PNM, a total mafia syndicate. What should say? And of course, Heinz will be there with him, as I show you, in the unmeritoriously. And that is why his constituents have no respect for him and only put him as National Security Minister. Look at this. And here he is as Minister of National Security on Bad Street, win and encouraging gangsterism. As the Minister of National Security present, Fitzgerald, Ethelbert, Dunsehead, vote Hines to stay behind Minister of National Security. You know why he is there? Let me tell you why. He realizes that the population across the board is disenchanted with the performance of the PNM on the question of crime and everything else. And everything else.
Wetting after wetting.
But that is most visible. Crime and criminality is most visible, as you would know. So what he is doing there is trying to salvage, trying to recoup, hopefully, political advantage. That's all he's there for. You keep about Sunday and all the other names that he mentioned there. He doesn't about that. He cares about the way the PNM is looking and is incapable of managing or treating with that problem. That's the only reason he's there. He couldn't care less. He go home and sleep. So do not be fooled by any humanitarian or altruistic or philanthropical thought that being made. No, he can say about those young people. No, as far as he's concerned, and you will hear them here in Rowley when the time comes. Indeed. Pleasure, good night. Welcome. Yeah. How are you? Yeah. Well, I trust that. I think. All right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So you check it out and see for me now. I think I might have solved the problem. I cut off everything else. Let me see if that is the problem. All right. Yeah. All right. Right. Yeah. Well, I did mention it. As than just one. At the end of the day, so I say before the end of this month, we have the matters firmly inside the courts, in both the low court and the high court. We have two matters now that we are pursuing. All right. No problem. I think Cuff would have done something last. I think maybe hoping that things would have been much more delay. I think is part of it, maybe some adjustment that you would have made. So I'll try to get tomorrow to sort of rectify that. But you know how it is with the technology and Murphy's Law. The worst thing happens at the worst possible time. Yeah. All right. So just bear with us. Go ahead. But yeah, the next one. Yeah, that's the next one. I think the latest development with that as well, I will bring it to you as well. Okay. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. So we have some loyal, committed people who have made themselves, of course, quality monitors to make certain that we have a proper, should I say, social media delivery. And is it making sense? Why am I coming here every night if you can deliver it properly? So I want to thank, of course, all of you for your loyalty and your willingness, of course, to go the extra mile, just as me. No payment, but of course, you want to see information that are crucial reach the population so as to get over this group of individuals. And as I say, I would like to see something like 2090, a constitutional majority for the United Services to make sure that the likes of Hines and Rowley never see the corridors of our them simply because they are unfit, unqualified, and of course, if they simply do not care about people, and politics is about servicing people and not people servicing the politicians. They have it all wrong, to the contrary, and therefore we must check them from their position, one, and two, never again must they enter the corridors of power in this country. Yes, Sunday. You heard those words? He has leadership quality. He has influence. He wants to work closely with him. That to me is like deja vu. Because you see, I was fortunate to be part and parcel of the so-called truce under Manning when he couldn't have any handle on the crime situation. But there was a group called the Elders of Laventille, of which I was a part. And we dealt with the problem that culminated in a huge rally up at St. Barb's on the hill. Supported and of course, sorry about that. That is my monitoring device here. Yes, and he was. And after that exercise, everybody said what they had to say. They were part of the problem and want to be part of the solution. Something similar to what the police is attempting and Hines is attempting. And a couple of weeks afterwards, after we developed a document, I will show it to you, specifically addressing the question of crime and criminality along the East Corridor in particular, because as you know, higher national average murders, higher national average truancy, higher national average people being able to make use of their education, higher national average youth delinquency, higher national average youth pregnancy, higher than national average violence, and we can go on and on, higher than national average single parent communities.
So I come to you again today.
So it's time for people to have a tremendous attachment and concern in not to be engaged in the community. Good for Laventille
ensure that many of you would come to hear
we had our final meeting at yesterday.
As I said to
you, that was the Holiday Inn at the time it was called. I was sponsored partially by the government of the day, but the fellows started to die one by one by some bullet, either some friend or some mysterious bullet. I don't think that those fellows who I've been talking to don't do it. They know that they have to shift the goalposts. They know they have to amend their strategy because they saw where the predecessors died. What after this session? And some say I cast no aspersion, but some say it was extrajudicial thing by the police of these fellows who confess that part of the problem. Where is the Sandy fellows, whether it be Rennie Paul, or whether it be Sean Francis in, of course, Caledonia, and we can go on and on. Yes, I was the one author of the final document up at Mayaro, when, of course, Dr. Lacks gave us his speech. The two of us, and the two of us come up with a solution to the problem. It's nothing different to what the police is attempting to do. Nothing different to what Hines is attempting to do. The problem is that only a fool and a madman does the same thing over and over and expect different. The result was that, of course, in the 2005 episode of What Is Happening Today, it is of course retroactive watchment. You could say it is in retrospect all that. You could say it is the history that will tell us and give us the not just the prominence but the foretelling, the certainty, the policy that cover will result in more demands being made of the state, and if they refuse, the limit intensify the conduct activity. And so what we're hearing is a set of kings seriously to wipe out that generation of leaders, and then obviously like others take over because they are glad, of course, to now be at the time now that their predecessor leader would have been taken out from the nation. It's a cycle. So that is not the solution, Heinz, nor we, and to bellow that you are not engaged is a figment of your own imagination, and you're talking to yourself. You can't be talking to people who know. You cannot be talking to the esoteric. You're talking to yourself. We don't hear anything. When last time about URP, you're seeing CPEP all over the place, but you hear about URP. And that's what URP's function is. To appease, to provide the facilitation. And there is no guarantee this level. Not use the will fall, but they are just see some of them in a nice house in the ghetto. That is good. But it shows that there's sufficient amount of money around to build that, and still blackmail, still engage in activities that will cost them more and more money because they have to tell Rowley and them, listen, if you do not continue, of course, to provide resources to the ghetto, then the criminal behavior will escalate, and Rowley will be fearful of losing their position as government and a party that can manage the affairs of the country, even if they are total disaster, engage in this murderous cycle of give and take. And because they belong to the community, they permanently, so when they cannot solve the problem, it is people who are from the community, in the community, still have some respect by those who are engaged, as what we did with the LIO between 1984 and in essence 2000. Over 6,000 persons, some of whom are army, police, fire service, and all over the country in terms of employment and contributing to the institution to which they would have touched. You have to have a mass program, not the dictionary one by one. This is not an issue for a lawyer nor a doctor. A doctor has to examine you personally one by one. No, this is a societal problem, and society is a very term. Sociology means the interaction of groups, and in this case large numbers of sufficiently large that it is creating havoc and disquiet among this population, and you need to have an equal but effective response. None of them have that. None of them. They talked about, of course, they talk about CPEP, they talk about URP, they talk about Conservation Corps, they talk about my tap, and we can go all over 50 projects. All have failed because it failed to target those who are giving problems, and comparatively speaking, it's a small group, but nonetheless so potent and so influential and so devastating and so dangerous that they have grabbed all of the attention and the resources of the country, because the Ministry of National Security, the billions, at the time it got the highest amount of allocation as far as the budget is concerned in the early days of the administration. I think it is 4.9 and if this goes to the 2024 budget allocation. So, you know, the community must solve the problem, and they are ideas. I'm going to bring the very voluminous. I'm going to send it to services, and now that they want to engage in time discussion, I will make myself able to also engage and show how it is done. When they are boo, that goes, of course, to as Heinz, wine and dine, and associated with the very elements, the criminal element, the gangsters that they hope to, of course, by their personal intervention. Some of them, the gangsters have a different story. Once they catch you at that level, coming up to them, they know that they are charged, and they will walk like swords. Walking like swords. The other, of course, is Twiggy. She's from back. So, I don't expect you make assessment. Yes, people. There was Heinz. There was Heinz, of course, attempting to appease the criminal elements of which Rowley speaks so glibly about, but in fact, it's wooing them. Let me just for the next couple minutes, because I'm yearning to, of course, find out what has transpired there in terms of the sluggishness of the internet, and of course I'm seeing it on the system as well. So I think we should, of course, talk about the Iraq that was read.
Major political, including the UNC, tell you the strength and we are having difficulty. That is the items that put it.
So this is what is putting the having discussion and truce with the gangsters or brokering their that's all. Big talk. But there's Heinz. That means contract people. That means contract. Only because they want to be politically correct in terms of fooling the people that they care. No, he's only there because of the wars that has escalated in spite of their boasting that they have a plan for crime and criminality in this country. Total miscreants and out of it, and they should be leaving office now. Sunday's a leader, he say. I thought I should comment that when he left school, he had one CXC pass. CXC was not in existence. He was not in existence. Something like he moved from, of course, Mason Hall to Whitehall. Whitehall was there existed. That is the illusion and the habitual lying, pathological lies that they are. He can't remember when he born. He had CXC subject. No, at that time he went to school. He could only GC and first. That kind of general certificate of education from the London and Cambridge universities. That is the it was the CXC. So he born just the other day, the oldest ever in any country. You chairman for any mass party anywhere in the world. That then come popularized. And there he is having those fellas outsmart him again. And they go to contacts beginning with construction of the Bashir Center. And so they are going to work him as much as they can because they are going to have street sets. These governments don't do anything. And therefore they are running to the strategy or the will of those fellas who they say stupid but have guns and engaged, of course, in crime and criminality, borderline, and of course gang warfare. The thing about it's our time to end this. The only reason that he is there is to try to see if he can appease the situation for PNM to look good, to get political currency, all of which, of course, have been what? Devalued already. That is what they do. Look at Tobago and you get an appreciation. And the level of corruption and thievery that is typical of them. You only look at the house. So people, this is the sign of the times. Because we have come to the end.
Good afternoon to everybody in background.
Good afternoon. Yes.
And everybody know this community, finance community, nobody have no problem. Any problem there?
Yes, we have problem.
Everybody's come together and
we have problem in the community.
Only problem right is that they will come and fix it. But everybody brings trouble.
Alright, people, of course, we have come to the end. Don't forget, of course, share. In spite of the challenges, we will get over it. And don't forget, of course, our Christmas hamper and, of course, back to school initiative. Just call, of course, 336-6594. My assistant will, of course, accommodate. I will thank all those who have expressed their concern. And, of course, we will overcome. It is a very tragic and tragic word. And looking at this. To meet the challenges head on and to provide solutions. Have a wonderful night. God bless. Don't forget tomorrow morning. Don't report and even with myself. So thank you very much. It's time to circumstance. We will get over. Doesn't matter. And people, so have a wonderful one. Bye bye.